The massive transport ship slowed as it approached the Galactic Defense Academy. The academy floated in space like a giant metal flower, its 5 arms extending from a central hub. Each arm housed different training facilities, dormitories, and lecture halls. Inside the ship, Han Kim sat alone, looking out the window. Unlike the other new students, no family had come to see him off. Earth was too far away and space travel was still too expensive for most humans. Han was the first human to ever attend the academy. Earth had only joined the Galactic Alliance 3 years ago. Most aliens still thought of Earth as a dangerous backwater, a Class 12 death world. The ship docked with a gentle bump. A computerized voice announced, "All new cadets, please proceed to the main hall for orientation." Han picked up his small bag and joined the crowd moving toward the exit. The other aliens gave him a wide berth. Some wore full environmental suits with breathing masks. Others had protective scales or thick fur. Han, with his plain human skin, felt naked among them. "Watch where you're going, Deathworlder," hissed a tall, green alien as Han accidentally brushed against its arm. The alien wiped the spot where they had touched as if Han had left something dirty behind. Han said nothing. He had been warned this would happen. Humans had a bad reputation in the galaxy. Their home planet was considered one of the most dangerous in known space. High gravity, extreme weather, deadly predators, and toxic plants. Most aliens couldn't believe anything intelligent could evolve in such a place. The main hall was enormous. Hundreds of new students from all corners of the galaxy stood in groups sorted by their home systems. Han was directed to stand alone in a small circle marked Sol System. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms walked onto the raised platform. At the front of the hall, everyone went quiet. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy. I am Commander Trill. For the next 3 years, you will train here to become officers in the Galactic Defense Force. Only the best students from each world are chosen to attend. You should be proud." Commander Trill's eyes scanned the crowd and stopped when they reached Han. "This year, we welcome our first cadet from Earth, a Class 12 death world." All eyes turned to Han. Some students gasped. Others whispered to each other. Han stood straight and tried to look confident. "Cadet Han Kim will join Squad 7. Commander Trill continued. "Squad assignments are posted on your tablets. Report to your squad leaders immediately." Han checked his tablet. Squad 7 was meeting in Training Room 3. He followed the map on his screen through the twisting corridors of the academy. When he arrived, 3 aliens were already waiting. They wore the same gray cadet uniforms as Han, but each looked completely different from the others. One had blue skin and 7 tentacles instead of arms. Another had an insect-like body with compound eyes and thin, jointed legs. The third glowed slightly and seemed to be made of living crystal. They all stared at Han as he entered the room. "You must be the human," said the tentacled alien. "I am Dory from Aquaria. I am the squad leader." "I'm Han from Earth. Nice to meet you." The insect alien's antennae twitched nervously. "I am Tay from Frax. I have read about Earth. Is it true you have creatures called bears that can tear being apart with their claws?" "Well, yes, but they mostly leave people alone if you don't bother them," Han said. The crystal alien glowed brighter. "And storms that throw bolts of electricity? And ground that shakes and splits open? How do you survive such things?" "I'm Jin," the crystal alien added quickly. "Luminaria is my home world. Earth has earthquakes and lightning, yes, but we build to withstand them. It's normal for us," Han explained. The door slid open, and Commander Trill entered. The 4 cadets stood at attention. "Squad 7, your first training session begins tomorrow at dawn. You will be issued your equipment now." Commander Trill pointed to a row of lockers along the wall. "Each locker contains your personal Nexus 7 combat armor." "Shuck." Commander walked to Han and looked down at him. "Especially you, Earthling. Academy rules state all cadets must wear protective gear during combat training. No exceptions." Han frowned slightly. "With respect, Commander, humans don't usually train in heavy armor. It limits our movement and—" "Impossible," Commander Trill cut him off. No being could survive our combat simulations unprotected. The Nexus 7 is the most advanced armor in the galaxy. It will keep you alive, Deathworlder or not. The commander turned to leave but stopped at the door. Report to medical for baseline scans, then to your quarters. Dawn comes early. After the commander left, Han walked to his locker. Inside was a sleek black suit of armor with glowing blue lines running across its surface. It looked heavy. Dory moved beside him. Don't worry. The armor responds to neural commands. It becomes like a second skin after a while. Thanks, Han said. On Earth we train in light clothes. It helps us move faster. Jin's crystal body flickered with colors. But the gravity simulation during combat training is set to 1.5 standard, and the temperature fluctuates wildly. Without armor you would collapse. Earth's gravity is 1.4 standard, Han said, and we have deserts where it reaches 50 degrees Celsius and frozen places below 40. The three aliens looked at him in shock. You're making that up, Tay said, mandibles clicking. No one could live in such conditions. Han shrugged. It's just home to me. The medical bay was bright and sterile. Han lay on an examination table while a medical officer waved scanning. Devices over his body. Fascinating, the officer muttered. Bone density 3.2 times galactic average. Muscle fiber strength exceptional. Respiratory efficiency. Remarkable for an oxygen-dependent species. The officer looked at Han with new interest. Your species evolved to survive on a death world indeed, but the academy training will still push you beyond your limits. The armor is for your protection. Later, in his small private room, Han tried on the Nexus 7 armor. It was lighter than it looked but still felt confining. The neural interface hummed as it connected to his nervous system. Han moved his arms and legs, testing the armor's response. It was good, but not perfect. There was a slight delay between his thoughts and the armor's movements. He took off the helmet and sat on his bed looking out the small window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a tiny blue dot in the vast darkness. Just 2 weeks of basic training, he said to himself. Then I'll ask again about training without the armor. Han knew the aliens wouldn't believe him until they saw what a human could really do. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was the cradle of a species that had survived everything the planet had thrown at them for thousands of years. And now, one of them had reached the stars. Han smiled as he put the armor away and prepared for bed. Tomorrow would be the first day of proving what humans were truly capable of. The alarm blared at 500 hours. Han woke instantly, a habit from his military training on Earth. The small room was dark, except for the soft blue glow from the control panel by his bed. Lights, he said, and the room brightened. Han put on the thin undersuit that went beneath the Nexus 7 armor. The material felt cool against his skin. Then, piece by piece, he attached the armor plates, chest, back, arms, legs. Each clicked into place with a soft hiss as the seals activated. The helmet was last. As Han put it on, the heads-up display came to life, showing his vital signs and the armor's power levels. The neural link tingled at the base of his skull. Not so different from the powered suits back home, Han muttered. Just a lot more fancy. He left his room and found his squad waiting in the corridor. Dory's tentacles moved with graceful precision as she checked her armor settings. Tay's insect-like form looked bulkier in the Nexus 7, the plates reshaped to fit her unusual body. Jin's crystalline structure glowed through special transparent sections in her armor. You're on time. Good, Dory said. Many first-day cadets oversleep. We have a saying on Earth, Han replied. Early is on time is late. Curious expression, Jin said, her voice tinkling like wind chimes. On Luminaria, time is fluid. We arrive when the light is right. Tay's mandibles clicked nervously. We should go. Commander Trill hates waiting. The training room was enormous. The ceiling stretched up at least 30 meters, and the floor space could fit 4 standard shuttle craft. The walls were made of dull gray metal that could reconfigure into different training environments. 50 other cadets were already there, arranged in their squads. Commander Trill stood on a raised platform. Today we assess your basic physical capabilities. The course will test strength, speed, endurance, and reaction time. The commander gestured, and the floor began to change. Parts rose up to form walls and platforms. Other sections sank to create pits and trenches. Soon, a complex obstacle course filled the room. Each squad will run the course together. Your time will be the average of all 4 members. Begin when ready. Dory led Squad 7 to the starting position. We should pace ourselves. It's not just about speed, but completing all obstacles correctly. Han nodded, but already he could feel how the armor restricted his movement. On Earth, he had trained for years in martial arts and parkour. His body knew how to move, how to flow over obstacles. The armor felt like running through water. "Start," Dory called, and they began. The first obstacle was a 10-meter wall with small handholds. Han grabbed the first hold and pulled himself up. The armor's servos whined as they assisted his climb, but the movement felt delayed, unnatural. He reached the top well behind his squadmates. Next came a series of platforms floating above a pit. They had to jump from one to another. The distance wasn't great, 2 meters at most, but the armor's weight threw off Han's timing. On the third jump, he nearly missed the platform, catching the edge and pulling himself up with a grunt. "Are you well, Han?" Jin called back, her crystal form glinting as she easily bounded ahead. "Fine," Han said through gritted teeth. "Just getting used to the armor." The course continued with crawl spaces, balance beams, and swinging obstacles. Each one highlighted the same problem. The armor that helped the others hindered Han. His natural agility and reflexes fought against the suit's programming. The final challenge was a sprint through moving barriers that rose randomly from the floor. Here, reaction time was key. Han watched in frustration as his squadmates nimbly avoided the barriers. When his turn came, he tried to sidestep a rising wall, but the armor responded a fraction of a second too late. He crashed into the barrier and fell. By the time Squad 7 finished the course, they were in the bottom half of all teams, and Han knew it was his fault. Commander Trill looked at their time with disappointment. "Squad 7, your performance was adequate. Barely. You have much room for improvement." In the locker room afterward, no one spoke to Han. He removed his armor slowly, feeling the ache in his muscles. The neural link disconnected with a small shock that made him wince. Later that evening, in the squad's common area, Dory finally addressed the issue. "Han, you were behind on every obstacle." Han nodded. "I know. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't improve our ranking," Dory said, her tentacles curling with frustration. "Maybe Deathworlders aren't as capable as the stories say." "It's not that," Han explained. "It's the armor, it's slowing me down." Tay clicked her mandibles skeptically. "The Nexus 7 enhances physical abilities. It doesn't reduce them." "For your species, maybe," Han said. "But humans move differently. Our strength isn't as great as many aliens, but our agility and endurance are better. The armor is designed for the average galactic physiology, not human." Jin's crystalline body pulsed with doubtful colors. "Without armor, the training would kill you. The temperature shifts alone." "Earth has every climate you can imagine," Han interrupted. "Freezing poles, burning deserts, steamy jungles. Humans have adapted to live in all of them." His squadmates exchanged glances, clearly not believing him. "I need to speak with Commander Trill," Han said, standing up. "There must be a way to adjust the armor to work better with human movement patterns." Commander Trill's office was small but neat. Star charts and training schedules covered the walls. The blue-skinned officer looked up from a datapad as Han entered. "Cadet Kim, what brings you here after hours?" Han stood at attention. "Sir, I request permission to modify my armor settings or train without the Nexus 7. The commander's expression hardened. "Denied. Academy regulations require all cadets to wear protective gear during combat exercises. With respect, sir, the armor is hindering my natural abilities. Humans train differently." Are you suggesting your primitive Earth training is superior to our methods? Methods perfected over centuries? Han chose his next words carefully. Not superior, sir. Different. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme environmental variations. Our bodies adapted to survive without technology. Commander Trill leaned back in his chair, studying Han. You truly believe you could complete the training course without armor? Yes, sir. I know I could do it faster and better. A slight smile crossed the commander's face. Bold claim, cadet. Very well. Tomorrow you will have your chance to prove it. Han blinked in surprise. Sir, a demonstration. You will run the obstacle course without armor while your classmates wear theirs. If you perform better, I will consider a training exception for you. If not, the commander's smile widened. Well, the medical bay is always prepared for accidents. Han swallowed but stood firm. Thank you, sir, I won't disappoint you. We shall see, Earthling. Dismissed. Back in his room, Han sat on the edge of his bed, heart racing with a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was his chance to show what humans could really do, to prove that Earth's harsh conditions had created something special. He closed his eyes and began his breathing exercises, centering himself. Tomorrow would change everything, if he succeeded. I hope you're ready, he whispered to himself, because they're certainly not ready for you. Word spread quickly through the academy. By morning, everyone knew about the human who wanted to run the combat course without armor. Most thought it was suicide. Some believed it was just human stupidity. A few were simply curious to see what would happen. Han woke before his alarm and did his usual Earth exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, and stretching. His body felt good, ready. Without the armor pressing on him, he felt light and free. When he entered the dining hall for breakfast, conversation stopped, all eyes turned to him. Han ignored the stares and got his food. A bland protein mix designed to meet the nutritional needs of most oxygen-breathing species. Dory, Tay, and Jin sat together at their usual table. Han joined them, setting down his tray. Is it true? Tay asked, her antennae twitching with excitement. You're going to run the course without armor? Han nodded. Commander Trill is giving me a chance to prove humans can do it. It's madness, Dory said, her tentacles curling around her food cup. The course has temperature zones that range from freezing to boiling. There are gravity fluctuations, some sections have toxic gas. The armor doesn't just protect, it enhances, Jin added, her crystal form shimmering with concern. Without it, you'll be at 1/3 the strength of the other cadets. Han smiled. Maybe, but I'll be 3 times as quick and agile. You'll see. After breakfast, the entire class gathered in the main training hall. The obstacle course had been reconfigured overnight. It looked more challenging than before, with higher walls, wider gaps between platforms, and new hazards like water traps and fire jets. Commander Trill stood at the entrance to the course, arms crossed. Attention, cadets. Today we have a special demonstration. Cadet Han Kim believes his species can perform better without the standard Nexus 7 combat armor. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Most of the alien cadets looked at Han with mixtures of pity and disbelief. Cadet Kim will run the advanced course wearing only the standard undersuit. If he performs better than his previous armored time, he will be granted a training exception. If not, the commander's mouth twisted in a small smile. Well, the medical team is standing by. Han stepped forward. He wore only the thin black undersuit that normally went beneath the armor. Without the bulky plates, his human form looked small and vulnerable next to the armored aliens. An instructor handed him a small device. Attach this to your undersuit. It will monitor your vital signs and position for scoring. Han clipped the device to his chest. It beeped as it synchronized with the Academy's systems. Commander Trill raised a hand. The course is set to standard. Training level. Begin when ready. Han took a deep breath and closed his eyes for a moment. He recalled his training on Earth, running through forests, climbing mountains, swimming across rivers. Then he opened his eyes and sprinted toward the first obstacle. The initial wall loomed 10 meters high, with tiny handholds spaced irregularly across its surface. When Han had tried it in armor, the climb had been slow and awkward. Now, his bare hands gripped the holds firmly. His feet found purchase on the smallest ledges. He moved up the wall like a spider, fast and sure. From the observation area, gasps echoed across the room. Han reached the top in 1/3 the time it had taken, him in armor. The next section was the floating platforms. Han paused at the edge, gauging the distances. Then he leaped. His body soared through the air in a perfect arc, landing precisely in the center of the first platform. Without hesitation, he jumped to the next, and the next, his movements fluid and graceful. Impossible, someone whispered. But Han was already moving to the next challenge. The temperature zone came next. As Han entered it, cold air hit his face. The thermometer on the wall showed 15 degrees Celsius. His breath fogged in front of him, but he didn't slow down. Growing up in Seoul, Han had experienced many cold winters. This was nothing new. He ran through the cold zone and immediately entered the heat section. The temperature jumped to 45 degrees. Sweat instantly appeared on his skin, but Han kept his pace steady. After the heat came a fog-filled area where visibility dropped to almost zero. Without the armor's sensors, Han had to rely on his own senses. He slowed slightly, listening carefully, feeling the air currents on his skin. He navigated by touch, and instinct emerging from the fog right on course. The gravity section was next. The floor glowed red as the artificial gravity increased to 1.5 times standard. Many cadets struggled here, even with armor enhancing their strength. Han felt the extra weight pressing down on him, but his muscles were used to Earth's higher gravity. He maintained his pace, even managing to increase his speed as he adapted. The final challenge was the reaction course, moving barriers that rose randomly from the floor. Here, Han's natural human reflexes shone. Without the armor's slight delay, he twisted, turned, dived, and rolled around the barriers with ease. Not once did he touch a barrier or miss a step. When Han crossed the finish line, the hall was completely silent. Everyone stared at the time displayed on the big screen. It was more than 40% faster than any previous cadet record, with or without armor. Han stood at the finish, breathing hard but smiling. His undersuit was soaked with sweat, and a small cut on his arm dripped blood where he had scraped against an obstacle. But he was otherwise unharmed. Commander Trill's face showed a mix of shock and grudging respect. "It seems," the commander said slowly, "that we have underestimated human capabilities." The other cadets began to whisper to each other. Some looked afraid, others impressed. Han's squadmates pushed through the crowd to reach him. "That was... how did you..." Tay's mandibles clicked rapidly, too excited to form complete sentences. Jin's crystal body glowed with bright colors of amazement. "You moved like water, like light." Even Dory seemed impressed. "I've never seen anyone navigate the course like that, not even senior cadets." Commander Trill raised a hand for silence. "Cadet Kim has demonstrated exceptional natural abilities. As promised, he will be granted permission to train without the Nexus 7 armor." The commander looked directly at Han. "However, this exception applies only to standard training. For live fire exercises and actual combat situations, armor will still be required. Is that understood?" "Yes, sir," Han replied, standing straight despite his fatigue. "Good. You are all dismissed." Commander Trill turned to leave, then paused. "Except for Squad 7. Report to Training Room 2 in 1 hour." As the crowd dispersed, many cadets approached Han, asking questions or simply staring at him with new eyes. The human was no longer just a curiosity from a death world. He had proven himself something special. "What's it like?" one cadet asked. "Living on a planet that tries to kill you every day?" Han laughed. "Earth isn't trying to kill us, it's just challenging. Humans don't have natural armor or special abilities. We survived by adapting, by using our bodies and minds together. But without technology, without protection," Jin began. "We build shelters, make tools, wear clothes for extreme weather," Han explained. "But our greatest strength is here and here." He pointed to his head and then his heart. We think our way out of problems, and we never give up. As they walked back to their quarters to prepare for their special training session, Dory moved beside Han. I was wrong about you, she said quietly. We all were. Han smiled. It's okay. First impressions aren't always right. What happens now? Tay asked. Han looked at his squad mates with determination in his eyes. Now we learn from each other. I show you how humans train, and you teach me about your species' strengths. Together, we can be the best squad in the academy. And for the first time since arriving, Han truly felt he belonged. 2 weeks passed quickly. Han trained without armor and his squad's ranking climbed steadily. They moved from the bottom half to the top 10, then to the top 5. Other cadets watched them with growing interest and respect. In training room, 2 Squad 7 practiced their own special routine. Commander Trill had given them this private space after seeing how well they worked together. Again, Dory called, her tentacles spread wide for balance. Tay, you're still hesitating before the jump. The insectoid cadet chittered nervously. The gap is very wide. You can make it, Han encouraged her. Remember what I showed you about using your momentum. Tay backed up, her multiple legs moving in perfect rhythm. Then she sprinted forward and leaped across the 3-meter gap. Her landing was shaky but successful. Good. Jin's crystal body flashed bright colors of approval. That's your best jump yet. Han smiled. Each of his squad mates had improved dramatically since they started training together. Dory had learned to use her tentacles for faster climbing. Jin had discovered she could focus light through her crystal body to temporarily blind opponents. And Tay was overcoming her natural caution to move with greater speed and confidence. But not everyone was happy about their success. Senior Instructor Pak entered the training room, his scaled face set in a disapproving frown. I see the Deathworlder is still breaking protocol, he said, glaring at Han's unarmored form. Commander Trill approved it, sir, Dory replied formally. Commander Trill is too soft, Pak snapped. The Academy has standards for a reason. Centuries of combat doctrine can't be overturned by one lucky demonstration. Han kept his face neutral, though anger bubbled inside him. Instructor Pak had been against him from the start, constantly pushing for stricter enforcement of traditional training methods. Your squad's next evaluation will be a night exercise, Pak continued. Full environmental hazards activated. We'll see how well your human performs then. The instructor left, his tail swishing with irritation. He really doesn't like you, Jin observed once Pa was gone. He doesn't like change, Han corrected. Many senior officers are the same way. They've done things one way for so long they can't imagine a better method. What do you think he'll put in the night exercise? Tay asked, her antennae quivering. Everything he can, Dory answered grimly. So we'd better be ready for anything. That evening, Han sat in the Academy's information center studying. Holographic displays showed the history of galactic warfare, famous battles, and weapons technology. Han focused on environmental hazards commonly used in training. Toxic gas, he muttered, making notes on his tablet. Radiation zones, low oxygen, extreme heat and cold, gravity fluctuations. Earth had prepared him for most physical challenges, but some alien environments were truly alien. Han needed to be ready. A shadow fell across his display. Han looked up to see Lo Kim, another human, cadet who had arrived last week. Lo was from New Beijing Colony and was the second human ever admitted to the Academy. Mind if I join you? Lo asked, sitting down before Han could answer. Go ahead. Lo glanced at Han's notes. Preparing for Pak's famous night exercise? I heard. Your squad is scheduled for it. Word travels fast, Han said. Well, you're famous now. The human who changed Academy training methods. Lo leaned closer. Some of the instructors are worried you're making things too easy for humans. They want to make an example of you. Han frowned. By making the exercise harder? By making it impossible, Lo replied. Pak has requested special permission to increase the difficulty beyond standard levels. How do you know this? Lo tapped his ear. Humans have better hearing than most aliens realize. I overheard Pa talking to the academy director. Han thought for a moment. Thanks for the warning. Us Deathworlders need to stick together, Lo said with a smile. Show them what Earth humans can do. When Han told his squad mates about Pak's plans, their reactions varied. Dory wanted to file a formal complaint. Tay suggested they practice extra hours. Jin simply glowed with worry. We can handle it, Han assured them. But we need a new strategy. Over the next 3 days, they trained harder than ever. Han taught them Earth survival techniques, how to control their breathing in low oxygen, how to move efficiently in high gravity, how to find shelter in extreme conditions. In return, his squad mates shared their own species' survival knowledge. Dory showed how Aquarians could sense slight changes in air pressure to predict danger. Tay explained how her kind could detect toxic chemicals through their antennae. Jin demonstrated how luminarians could adjust their body temperature by changing the frequency of their internal light. Together, we have advantages that no single species can match, Han told them. We just need to use them the right way. The night of the evaluation arrived. 50 senior academy staff members gathered to watch. Han noticed Commander Trill standing apart from the others, his face unreadable. Instructor Pak approached Squad 7 with a satisfied smirk. Tonight's exercise simulates a rescue mission on an unstable planet. Your objective is to reach the center of the course, retrieve a data core, and return to the starting point. He handed Dory a tablet showing the course layout. Environmental. Hazards will be active throughout. And yes, he added, looking at Han, the difficulty has been approved at level 8. Tay gasped. But standard training never goes above level 5. Consider it a compliment, Pak said coldly. Your squad's success has earned you Pa's special attention. As Pa walked away, Dory turned to her team. Level 8 is serious. There will be actual danger, Han. Looked at each of his squad mates. We can do this, remember our training, trust each other, follow the plan. They moved to the starting position. Dory, Tay, and Jin wore their armor, but with modifications based on Han's suggestions. They had removed some of the heavier plates to increase mobility. Han wore only his undersuit and a small breathing mask attached to a tiny tank on his back, his one concession to the toxic gas he expected to encounter. The lights dimmed, leaving the course in near darkness. A siren wailed, signaling the start of the exercise. Stay close, Han said, and they moved forward as one. The first challenge came quickly. The floor began to shake violently, simulating an earthquake. Cracks appeared, venting steam and sparks. Han led his squad through the chaos, his eyes adjusting to the darkness faster than most species could. Toxic zone ahead, Tay warned, her antennae twitching. High concentration. Han put on his breathing mask. The others activated their armor's filtration systems. They moved through a greenish fog that would have paralyzed unprotected lungs. Next came a section where gravity suddenly increased to twice normal. Han felt the familiar weight pressing down but kept moving. His squad mates struggled more but used the techniques he had taught them. Short steps, lower center of gravity, controlled breathing. Then, without warning, the temperature plummeted. Frost formed instantly on every surface. Han's breath froze, in the air even through his mask. The cold bit into his exposed skin, but he pushed through the pain. Growing up in Korea's winters had taught him to endure. How are you not freezing? Jin asked, her crystal form dimming in the extreme cold. Mind over matter, Han replied through chattering teeth. Keep moving. It gets easier. They reached the center of the course where a small pedestal held the data core, their objective. As Dory reached for it, hidden panels in the walls opened, releasing a fine mist. New toxin, Tay cried. Not in the database. Han's mask filter began to clog, turning brown from whatever was in the air. He ripped it off. It was useless now. Han, Dory called in alarm. You can't breathe that. But Han took a deep breath and held it. He grabbed the data core, signaled his team to follow, and sprinted back toward the entrance. His lungs burned, begging for air, but he kept moving. Just as spots began to dance in his vision, they burst through the toxic zone. Han gasped, drawing in clean air. His head spun, but he stayed on his feet. That wasn't in the briefing, Jin said angrily. They changed the course during the exercise. Doesn't matter, Han wheezed. We keep going. The final section of the return journey included all hazards combined: unstable footing, toxic air, extreme temperatures, and high gravity. It was a brutal test designed to break them, but it didn't. Working together, using each species' strengths to cover the other's weaknesses, Squad 7 reached the finish line. Han handed the data core to Instructor Pak, whose scaled face showed utter disbelief. Impossible, Pop muttered. No squad has ever completed a level 8 exercise on their first attempt. Commander Trill stepped forward, a rare smile on his blue face. Perhaps our training methods did need some updating after all. Han looked at his squad mates with pride. They were exhausted, battered, but successful. And in that moment, he knew they were ready for whatever came next. The entire academy was talking about Squad 7's success in the night exercise. Some cadets looked at Han with new respect, others seemed afraid. A few senior instructors like Pak watched him with cold eyes. You've upset the natural order, Lo, Kim told Han as they ate breakfast together. Humans were supposed to stay in their place, grateful to be included at all. Han shrugged. I didn't come here to stay in my place. I came to learn and to show what humans can do. Well, you've certainly done that. Lo nodded toward another table where several alien cadets were training without their full armor for the first time. You've started something bigger than yourself. Commander, Trill called Squad 7 to his office that afternoon. The blue-skinned officer sat behind his desk looking more serious than usual. The Academy Board has been discussing your squad's performance, he said. Some members are concerned that allowing exceptions to standard protocols could lead to safety issues. Dory stepped forward. With respect, sir, our safety record is perfect, and our performance metrics are among the highest in our class. I am aware. Trill tapped his desk, and a holographic display appeared showing Squad 7's ranking, now second, in the entire first-year class. That is why I've nominated your squad for the Crucible. Han felt his squad mate stiffen beside him. Even he knew what the Crucible meant, the legendary final test usually reserved for graduating cadets in their third year. But sir, Jin's crystal body dimmed with shock. No first-year squad has attempted the Crucible in decades, and none has completed it successfully in over a century, Trill added, which is precisely why you should attempt it. I don't understand, Han said. Trill stood and walked around his desk. The old guard, led by Instructor Pak, wants to prove that traditional methods are superior. If you fail the Crucible, they will use it as evidence that your new training approach is flawed, a dangerous aberration. And if we succeed? Tay asked, her mandibles clicking nervously. Then perhaps the Academy will finally update its methods for a new era. Trill looked directly at Han. You've shown us that different doesn't mean inferior. That adaptation can be more valuable than tradition. Han looked at his squad mates. What exactly is the Crucible? The ultimate combat simulation, Dory explained. It combines all training elements with live opponents, senior cadets playing the role of enemy forces. The objective is to reach a secure position while being hunted. No first-year squad is expected to win, Trill said. Merely participating is considered an honor. When? Han asked. 3 days from now. I suggest you prepare carefully. Trill handed them each a datapad. These contain all available information on the Crucible. Study them. Be ready. As they left the commander's office, Han could see the worry on his squad mates' faces. We don't have to do this, he told them. We could decline. Dory's tentacles curled with determination. And let Pak win? Never. Jin glowed with soft, thoughtful colors. If we succeed, it could change things for future cadets from all worlds. And if we fail, at least we tried something new, Tai added, finding her courage. Han smiled. Then let's make a plan. For the next 3 days, they trained harder than ever, Han showed them more Earth techniques, how to move silently, how to use terrain for cover, how to conserve energy during extended exertion. They studied previous Crucible attempts, looking for patterns and weaknesses. On the final night before the test, Han couldn't sleep. He sat in the common area reviewing their strategy one more time. Dory found him there, her tentacles moving restlessly. "Nervous?" she asked. "A little," Han admitted. "Not about the physical challenges, about what it means for others." "Others?" "Future human cadets. Other species who might benefit from different training methods." Han looked at his friend. "If we fail, it's not just about us." Dory's tentacles touched his shoulder gently. "When I first met you, I thought you were just a strange creature from a dangerous world. Now I see you're much more. What am I? A bridge between worlds. A reminder that there's always another way to look at things." She moved toward the door. "Get some sleep, Han. Tomorrow will be hard enough without exhaustion." The day of the Crucible arrived. The entire academy gathered to watch. First years who would normally be in class were given special permission to attend. Senior cadets prepared to play the opposition forces. Squad 7 waited in the preparation room. Dory, Tay, and Jin wore modified versions of their armor, lighter, more flexible designs based on Han's suggestions. Han wore only his undersuit with light protective pads on his joints and chest. Commander Trill entered, followed by a tall, muscular alien cadet with gray skin and 4 arms. "This is Senior Cadet Sung," Trill said. "He leads the opposition team." Sung looked at Squad 7 with cold eyes. "I've been watching your progress. Impressive for first years. But the Crucible is different. We won't hold back." "Neither will we," Han replied calmly. Sung's eyes narrowed at Han's lack of armor. "Your funeral, human." He left the room with a final dismissive glance. Commander Trill handed Dory a small device. "Your mission parameters. The Crucible begins in 10 minutes. He paused at the door. "Whatever happens today, know that you've already changed things for the better." Once alone, Dory activated the device. A holographic map appeared showing a complex maze of rooms and corridors. A blinking red dot indicated their starting position. A green dot showed their objective, a secure room at the center of the map. 8. Opposition teams, Dory noted. All senior cadets with combat experience. "They'll expect us to take the most direct route," Han said, studying the map. "So we won't. We'll go here instead." He pointed to a narrow maintenance tunnel. "That route is longer," Jin observed, "and includes a section marked as a high radiation zone." "Exactly. They won't expect it." Han smiled. "And Earth's natural radiation is higher than most habitable planets. I can handle it better than most species." They finalized their plan just as a siren sounded, signaling the start of the Crucible. The simulation facility was enormous, a multi-level complex designed to mimic various battle environments. Squad 7 began in what looked like the ruins of a bombed-out building. Warning lights flashed, indicating active environmental hazards. "Remember the plan," Han whispered. "Move fast, stay quiet, stick together." They moved through the ruins, avoiding the main pathways. Han led them to a small opening in a wall that connected to the maintenance tunnel he'd identified. It was tight, barely large enough for Dory's tentacled form to squeeze through. Inside the tunnel, they moved in single file. The air grew warmer. As they approached the radiation zone, warning symbols flashed on the walls. "Suits to maximum protection," Dory ordered. Han had no suit, but he'd prepared in other ways. He pulled out a small container of anti-radiation gel, standard issue for emergency kits on Earth ships, and applied it to his exposed skin. "This won't block everything, but it will help," he explained. "We need to move through quickly." They hurried through the radiation zone, Han feeling the familiar tingle that Earthborn humans recognized from natural background radiation. It was uncomfortable but not dangerous for the short exposure time. Beyond the radiation zone, they encountered their first opposition team, 4 senior cadets patrolling a junction. Han signaled his squad to hold position while he scouted ahead. Moving with the silent grace he'd perfected growing up on Earth, Han crept behind the patrol. He listened to their conversation. No sign of the first years, one said. They're probably still at the starting area, too scared to move. Waste of time, another replied. No first-year squad has ever made it past the second checkpoint. Han smiled and returned to his team. They don't know we've moved. We can bypass them through the lower level. Following Han's lead, Squad 7 slipped past 3 more opposition teams without being detected. They were halfway to their objective when alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. They've realized we're not where we should be, Jin said, her crystal form pulsing with nervous light. Run, Han ordered. Straight to the objective. No more stealth. They sprinted through corridors and rooms, no longer hiding. Opposition teams converged on their position, but Squad 7 was faster, more agile, using the techniques Han had taught them. In the final approach to the objective room, they encountered Sung and his elite team blocking the way. The four-armed. Senior Cadet smiled coldly. End of the line, first years, he said, raising a simulation weapon. Han looked at his squad mates and nodded. They split apart, each moving in a different direction, executing the maneuver they had practiced dozens of times. Dory's tentacles extended, grabbing overhead pipes to swing above the opposition. Tay skittered along the wall, her insect-like form moving faster than the seniors could track. Jin's body flashed blindingly bright, disorienting Sung's team, and Han did what humans do best. He adapted, he improvised. He charged straight at Sung, ducking under the senior cadet's first shot, rolling beneath his guard, and coming up behind him. Before Sung could turn, Han had tagged him with the simulation marker, a kill shot in combat terms. The senior cadet looked down at the marker in disbelief. How? Han didn't wait for him to finish. He raced past the stunned opposition, joining his squad mates at the objective room door. They entered together, sealing it behind them. A moment later, the success chime sounded throughout the facility. Squad 7 had completed the crucible.